Hey guys, Dr. Asa here. Normally I meet everybody to talk to them, but today we have a special guest that I'm meeting with. And not only are we going to talk to them, but I think there's something a little bit more that I want to do, and that's walk with someone. I think you may know who this is. Come on with me. Let's walk. Oh! Walk with Elijah. Come on, man. Let's walk.
I'll follow as they lead me to the dark side of the road.
Florida is leading the way in medical innovation using regenerative medicine. Thanks to a new state law, stem cell therapy is now legal, and Adia is here to help you heal. No more long flights or overseas clinics. Now you can get advanced stem cell therapy right here in Florida. From sports injuries to everyday orthopedic treatments, chronic pain and wound repair, our expert team brings science-backed relief without surgery. Adia, the platinum standard in stem cell therapy. Discover the future of medicine today.
You know what? I think it's time to see what this walking with Elijah is all about. So Jeff, thanks for being with me.
Of course.
It's great, man.
Brother.
Awesome. Always great to see you, for sure. Sir. So tell me what got you started in professional wrestling?
I was just a huge fan of wrestling as a kid. 8, 9 years old. I remember a close friend of mine who lived down the street brought me over, showed me WrestleMania 8, Psycho Sid and Papa Shango, just the larger-than-life characters beating each other up. It was just a lot for my senses at that age. Right. And from that point on, I just really took an interest and started watching regularly, talking to my friends. And I can remember around just 10, 11, 12 years old, diehard wrestling fan. I was like, I just love this. Yeah.
All in.
Yeah, of course.
And were you an athlete growing up? You played a couple sports, right?
Yeah, my family would call me an athlete. I don't know. I never really truly thought like that's what I was. But I played all the sports growing up, but baseball was like my main thing. I played on the traveling teams and the Pony League World Series and up through awesome. College and all that stuff. So baseball was my main thing, but wrestling was always my passion, even as like a kid. That's what I wanted to do.
What do you like about professional wrestling? What do you think drew you to it? Being an athlete, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost like what I'm hearing from you is being an athlete wasn't enough. Like there was something about wrestling that pulled a lot of things together inside.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I'd never been asked like, what's the difference? It has to be the personalities. Right? Even to watch a wrestling match now, to see the athleticism and stuff like that, it's obviously incredible and fun to watch. But I always want to connect to the people. And I could just remember, like when I say connecting, just being captivated by Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and The Undertaker and the characters is really what sort of sucked me in. That now you see a lot of sports people, they do that. UFC brings out theirs.
The storytelling.
Of course, the storytelling. I mean, that's the word I'm looking for right there that pulls you in. Shawn Michaels' boyhood dream when he was going for the world title, and I remember thinking, I'm the boy with the dream right now. This is,
that's what pulled on you then, was that right there, right?
Yeah. Which I know a lot in my generation that really kind of like look up to Shawn Michaels. It was that storyline that really sucked everybody in.
Because if he can do it.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
And that's one of those things that I can't speak for anybody, but when they showed that story, right? Sometimes as a kid, you kind of think wrestlers are, they're manifested out of thin air and now they're on, you don't realize that they're real people they were kids who had a dream.
That's right.
All that stuff. And it really sort of imprints that onto you, saying, oh, I have a dream. Oh, this is possible. This is in the realm of things that can be done, that I may have not known beforehand.
So, and that's a good point. So when you realize that's what you wanted to do, what was the one thing that you really locked in on? Because you told me before, you're like, this is what I'm going to do. And nothing's going to step in my way. The word decide means to cut off everything else.
Oh, okay.
So when you made the decision,
Yeah.
when was that?
I think 15, 16, right around that age. Actually, to kind of tie another story in with Shawn Michaels, I met him. I met him when I was 15 or 16,
Wow.
and what I said to him, which I had thought about for the hours leading up to before I met him, what am I going to say to this guy? And it was, "You make me want to be a wrestler." For whatever reason, I thought this is the most profound thing I could say
but at
to him.
15, it's like,
yeah. So, and it was really like, I remember like I said that to him, and then I told my friends like shortly after at school, which was like a big step for me. Like I'm going to tell my friends I'm going to be a wrestler. They're going to, who knows? And so I told my friends, and it was like, in my own little way, there's no going back now. I put it out
that's
there.
that's what put it here and in here.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you said it,
Yes.
and then that was it.
Yeah, there you go, man.
And you said it to one of the greatest,
Of course, yeah.
right? So that really,
No, I know.
You said it.
And oddly enough, many years later, I'm getting ready to go to the main roster. Shawn Michaels is my coach. I get to share this story with him. Cool little full circle moment for me. You know what I mean?
that's an amazing moment.
Yeah, definitely cool.
And I think even with what you're doing now in wrestling and the character that you have, I think for anyone that's in the business itself, to be able to bring that kind of inspiration to another 9-year-old, right? With what you do, to be able to bring your story and let someone else see that so they can dream, right?
Right on.
I think that's another piece of the story that everybody's talking about, how they're going to create their career. But I think, those moments that you even have to have that kind of influence on another,
it's
young person that's really
you're
watching you and saying, if Elijah can do it, then I can too.
Yeah, and I hope that does come across, and maybe little things like this kind of help that, because I too was just a kid with a dream, and now they might see me and think that's a character that I know from however it may be. And it's interesting because now I've actually been in wrestling so long, which is weird to say, but that I have like new people like, oh, like I watched you do XYZ, and I was at WrestleMania when you did. I'm like, oh my goodness, like
You've had that tenure.
now I've been there long enough that the new people are like, I watched you, so that's an interesting thing too.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
So talk about how you got to the WWE. So you have this dream, right? And you make a decision.
Sure.
You've met Shawn Michaels. You get on this path, and you're graduating high school. You get to a point where you're going to go to college. So tell me about how you took that journey to become a superstar in WWE.
Jeez, I mean, it was, of course, it's your number one goal. When I left high school, I wanted to just travel and become a wrestler and go to certain schools, and my dad was like, you should probably get a degree first if you want to do that, which is a smart decision. I'm glad he said it. But while I was training wrestling, or while I was in school, I began training wrestling, and I would find ways to do tryouts, and I would pay for them out of pocket, money that I didn't have at the time, and whatever. And I would travel the indies. I would learn from seminars and coaches and the veterans that were there. I was always the annoying guy that would ask questions and stuff like that. But I truly wanted to like absorb every, whoever was kind of above me, I wanted to learn from them, and I wanted to take that to be better, and I did a bunch of tryouts. I did 3 tryouts where I essentially paid for them, and every single time they said no.
Which meant not yet.
Which meant not yet, right?
Yeah.
Then I did a 4th one where they brought me, WWE had scouted me. They said, we want to bring you in for a tryout, which I was like, this is it, here, it's going on. And that happened, and at the end of that, they said, maybe, we'll take a look at you in a couple months. And I was like, all right. So that's tryout number 4. And now my friends are like, how many do you need to actually do until you get the hint, right? But at one point, I was an extra for WWE, maybe Monday Night Raw. And William Regal was backstage, and he had seen me do these tryouts. And
so he had his eye on you.
He did, okay. and he is another guy that I would just pick his brain, like. So I mean, I was a huge fan of him. Sure. I think he's awesome.
Yeah,
So he's another guy,
talent. Yeah,
of course. And he was always willing to sit there and talk and share everything with me. And so I was getting ready to do my promo, which is kind of, they would give you an opportunity, hey, do a 30-second promo or something and get in the ring and do. And I was getting ready to do that, and he stopped me and he said, hey, in my book, you've aced these tryouts. I think there's really something special about you, and hiring is coming up, and if I get the chance, I'm going to put your name in the list.
Wow.
And I was, of course, beside myself. I played it cool, but inside I was beside myself.
Inside you were jumping up and down.
Yeah, right. And so a few weeks later, that's when I got the call from a guy named Canyon, who was the head of talent at the time, and he said, we'd like to offer you a contract to come down to NXT and join the Performance Center and the whole system and stuff, yeah. So that's where it really began.
That's where it all really started.
Yes.
Really all started in that decision, but that's where that's where the career started. Mm-hmm. So you were with WWE for how long?
I actually did 10 full years with WWE, 2014 to 2024. And man, it's actually unbelievable to say I did a decade with them.
A decade is a strong tenure with WWE, especially with, there's people that come, they go, they're there for a year, 2 years, they're gone. People cycle in and cycle out. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting how you're one of the ones that did come in and created and built a character.
Sure.
Because as we know in wrestling, there's a lot of great wrestlers. There's people that are good on the mic. There are, the character, but it's putting it all together. And that's something that you have. How did you get in there and kind of find your character and your voice in the middle of it all?
I always have to give credit to Dusty Rhodes for this one, because of course I had ideas floating around in my head of like, how do I envision myself as a pro wrestler? What's that presentation like? And I ran through the mix actually of trying a few different characters. And I can remember Dusty Rhodes one time saying, hey, just go up there in front of our promo class and stuff like that. Just tell me about yourself. Just go up there and tell me about yourself. And so I went up and I talked, and sure enough, one of the things I said was that I like to play blues guitar, and I don't know, I can't even remember what else I said, but that stuck out to him, and he said, you know what, how about next week you bring the guitar? And I said, okay, cool. Next week I brought the guitar, and I can remember I just kind of told another story about my life when I was kind of picking at it, and when I was done I kind of strummed it, and Dusty just sat back and he was like, there it is, and he sort of, it was just from that moment on, the guitar really never left my side, and he sort of started, molding me as we kind of, he loved these old Woody Guthrie movies and Johnny Cash and the Drifter idea. Just, it really does captivate the American, or not just American, but the imagination of people in that old West, caricature of people. So there's really something there, and he just latched onto it, and I loved it, and it was cool. I got to be mysterious and cool. And then one day, one of my coaches said, how about you sing a song before your match? And I said, about what? He said, oh, anything, just sing any song. And I remember that before the match that night, it was in Largo, Florida, I sang a song sort of making fun of the crowd. And they booed so hard and so long that it was like, oh, that's it. I'm going to do that now too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really, and then over the next year or so, I had even gotten wind, hey, Vince McMahon's got his eye on you, and they're looking at you and stuff. And so I really started to hone the shtick and the way I would wrestle and work and all that stuff, and it grew in popularity with the crowd even before I made it to Monday Night Raw. And that, I think I had mentioned to you before, it was after an NXT TV taping, a couple years in, and Triple H was running through everything that had went down that night. Hey guys, we did a great show, we need to work on this. Hey, some of these guys did a great job tonight. And at the end of it, he says, and by the way, Elias Sampson, you're gonna drift your ass to Monday Night Raw. And just the whole friends and stuff. They just everything. I can remember a buddy of mine jumped over a table and tackled me right on the spot, and everybody was just so happy for me. It was just like, just a great moment. And I went up and I shook Hunter's hand, and he said, the real work starts now. And I was like, here we go.
Let's go. That
kicked off I was on Monday Night Raw next week. From there on out for the next couple of years, pretty much every week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's the thing that everybody, when they have the childhood dream,
yeah,
that's the conversation they all wait for. The call, the contract, the conversation, the call up.
Sure.
You've walked through all those phases that everybody dreams of.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. And then you have a decade in there with WWE, and you've created a character that is known and will always be known. I think you've really, I know you've still got more to go, but you've cemented something in the wrestling business that will always be. And that's a strong mark, for something you've done
too. Yeah. That's really crazy to think about. And, there's a lot of, when I hop on the independents, I literally would go to Italy and do my thing, and people would just, they get it, right? And they love it there. Or when I come back to NXT after however long and do it, and it's like, there's something, like I said, that just, for whatever reason, however many couple minutes, I would sit on that stool on Monday Night Raw and talk there was a connection that actually formed with people,
For sure.
It's really cool.
And it never left.
Yeah.
So you were there for 10 years. What happened? How did
I know.
Yeah.
I think about this all the time, by the way. But, you're going to get the standard answer. There's budget cuts and stuff like that, which, okay. I kind of shrug my shoulders at those kind of answers, I know personally that as the months were kind of coming up before I got that call that, hey, we're going to let you go, there was a lot of back and forth on creative things to where it was almost like we put them here, let's just set them off to the side and we'll figure something out. And then they never really do figure something out.
Right.
And I mentioned to you too, I went super hard. I came up with different pitches and outfits and characters, and I tried to talk to every single, you name it, from the top to the bottom. I said, I'll fly out to Connecticut tonight. I did all that stuff, man. And ultimately, you get hit with that call, hey, you haven't been on TV for X amount of months. We're paying you this much money. We got to let you go. And that was that, man. That's how that chapter of the career wrapped up, Yeah, pretty frustrating.
I get that. Yeah, I'm a big believer in seasons. And, someone like yourself that has a decade like that, right? Now you've moved into a season where, frustrating as it is, you move into a season where you don't know what you're going to do, right? You walk out of WWE, that season kind of stops for a moment, seemingly, which always means not yet. Right? That's a great line.
That's a good one, huh?
So, you walk out of there, and then how do you feel? Like, are you going to keep wrestling? Like, where's your mindset when you left the WWE?
I was angry at the whole thing, to be honest with you. I thought I was very good at what I was doing. I thought the crowd really still connected with me, so to speak. You know what I mean? I was very confident, like, you just put me on TV and let me do my thing and it'll work. What are we doing? I was very angry about that, I guess. And I kind of was just indifferent towards wrestling. That's my dream. And so I was frustrating, you know what I mean? And a lot of people were very much like, dude, just keep going and keep it up and stuff like that. And a buddy of mine asked me to come out to do an independent show. He's just like, just have fun and you do whatever you want, man. Total freedom. Sammy Callahan.
Yeah, we both love.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. Yeah. What a great dude. And yeah, he let me come out, do a show, had a fantastic match with a guy named Speedball Mike Bailey. And I just remember after that being like, oh, this is like a blast. This is super cool. I can do this. And so I started doing that until I did an independent and totally random. One wrestler canceled. They called in Tommy Dreamer. Me and him ended up being a tag team that night. We had some fun playing with the crowd. We had a wrestling match, and afterwards he's like, dude, I've got this idea for you. Hear me out. TNA, this and that, and Joe Hendry and the whole thing. I think it'd be really fun. And eventually I was like, yeah, think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
And since coming to TNA, so Tommy brought me in. It's just been awesome, dude. TNA has been a blast. I feel like I got in at like such a great time because they're just they're 8,000 people in arenas and stuff, and now we got a TV deal on AMC. It's
That's
cool.
how we met.
It's cool. That's how we met. That's right, man.
Yeah.
So
I'm grateful for that.
Me too.
Yeah. And so now you're with TNA, and love Tommy, by the way, man.
Yep.
He is big brother to everybody in a sense. You know, he's great. So you walk into TNA, which you bring so much value there. And now you're in this company. We've got, a new deal with AMC. Mm-hmm. Things are moving along. Yeah. And you get a phone call, last year that says, hey, I know you were here for a while, 10 years, but we want you to come back.
Right.
So WWE gives you this call, right, as we create this partnership now with TNA and WWE, which has been amazing. Right. So we have talent going back and forth. And of course, you being, main roster with TNA, they say, Elijah, we want you to come back.
Right.
What was that like?
That was an interesting mix of feelings too, right? Because it's like, you broke up with your ex. Are you sure you want to just go in the, you know what I mean? It was a weird, for me, it felt kind of weird, for them, it's probably just business as usual, but I had a lot of emotions, because I just a million things running through your head of, we could have just done this and that and switch it. Why, that stuff. Point is, ultimately, Tommy was like, I think it'll be good. I think okay, I'll go do it. Yeah. And it was awesome. I came out there, the crowd was awesome. They were chanting, welcome home. That was a cool little
Talk about that, welcome home.
Yeah.
You don't hear it that often.
You're right, yeah. No, that stood
you were telling
out
me
to me too.
There's welcome back, there's all these other things.
Yeah, right.
Why do you feel like they said welcome home?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It did stand out to me at the time that they chanted welcome home.
And it was strong, I saw it.
Yeah. It was just like this, I don't know what the term is, guttural, again, I hate to use the term connection, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, because those people, I don't know how many or whatever, but it's like they probably did see me in NXT not that long ago and come through the system, and they watch my journey through WWE and WrestleMania and all the way, and here I am again. So it did, in a sense, probably to a lot of them feel like a homecoming. Mm-hmm. And that was cool, because like I said, sometimes a guy comes back and they chant welcome back or welcome this and that, and for me it was welcome home, and that was definitely unique and stood out to me. It was special.
Yeah, it is special. Yeah. And you get to see Sean, everybody
got
else.
to see Sean and all the people I've made.
Full circle for all of that to come back, and
definitely cool.
Everybody there, welcomed you with open arms.
Sure.
You could see it and feel it.
Yeah.
So you come back, they're starting to put you on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They're building a little bit with you, Trick.
Yep.
And you build to this match.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got your match, you're back in WWE doing your match.
Sure.
And it was interesting because as we've gotten to know each other, we were doing so much together that I had talked to medical there, and I was going to be in town.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, come on by and sit ringside, and we got a bunch of talent here. We'd love to have you. So went in.
Yep.
And they hooked up the IFB, and I went and sat ringside. And got to be there, the night you were there.
Yep.
And sitting out there with medical, I'm watching the match, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, there it is, man.
I wanted to be there in for the victory with no injury, but tell me what happened.
Yeah. Let it be noted, I won this match.
That's right.
But I was in the mix there with Trick Williams. I was up on the top rope doing a move I've done quite a few times at this point. I jumped off the top rope. My knees land on his shoulders, and we typically just go down. And just the momentum, whatever it is, I took him a step or two back, and for me, it caused me to sort of trajectory, diagonally down towards the mat, just faster than usual. And I just tried to stop myself. I just threw my hands out like you would, just naturally, right? And it just wasn't enough on that day. All my weight come down, and my left arm just went, and my tricep tore off the bone here. I didn't know at the time. I knew something bad had happened. If you watch, you'll see I grabbed my arm and my face hits the mat, and I get up, but I think I wrestled about another 8 minutes with one arm. And if you kind of watch it back, you'll see my arms just kind of
It is,
stuck
and you're shaking
in
it.
here.
You're like shaking the deal, and
I remember I
know.
stepped outside the ring and I'm trying to figure out like, how bad is that? What did I do? I couldn't flex my tricep muscles, and I was like, that's not good. Yeah, and I can remember a doctor on the side was like, what's going on? I'm like, my arm is messed up. He's like, we got to call the match. I'm like, do not call the match. So we got through the match, got the win, right? That was a big deal. And come to the back, everybody, said their thank yous and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I ran right into you, which I didn't know I'd see you that time.
Yeah.
And then everybody started checking. I think you felt right around. And most everybody
You
was
feel the
like,
tear, and then we
"There's-"
put the ultrasound on it.
That's right. Yeah. Some people could just feel it. They're like, there's no connection anymore. Put that ultrasound on, it pretty much confirmed it. It's like, oh, geez, okay, so the tricep is torn, dude, and now I got to give a lot of credit to the WWE medical team and staff.
100%.
They were on it. They made the calls, all this stuff. They got me in the MRI like the very next morning.
Yeah.
I did that. They got the results. They called like the best surgeon in Orlando or whatever, and maybe in the country, I don't know. And they were like, can you get him in? They got me in the very next morning. So it was like a 30-hour gap between injury to surgery. I mean, they were just on top of it. So very grateful for all the connections there.
And it was so great just being there and watching that.
Yeah.
Being there with you, one thing I could see was when we knew it was torn, the look in your face said everything.
Sure.
You didn't say it out of your mouth.
Right.
But your look said everything. It was like, I just got back. I just got my win.
Sure.
Right? And then this happens. Why? You know what I mean?
Of course.
And all that you could see going through.
Yep.
But I really have got to say too, you're right, the partnership, a lot of times partnerships, people don't know how they're going to go. And these guys, I mean, you're our guy.
Yeah.
Right? And they could have easily said to me, you know, here.
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't. Yeah. Dale, Dr. Gary, Dr. White, they all just said, no.
Yeah.
We'll make the call.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, within the next morning, MRI, surgery the next day, Dale was like, we got it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll help any way we can. And I just appreciate that for the partnership, because one thing I love about with WWE is that I have seen now that we've been integrated is how much they care about their talent. We care. I know that because I'm the guy that does that. But to watch them care about a guest in their house technically that night says a lot about the company.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't agree more. You know, they could have easily said, well, that's on TNA, they'll figure it out.
That's right.
I think there's, I do think there's probably a part that I was there for 10 years and I did form relationships with all these medical people that they said, that's our guy too, you know?
Seriously, you could see it.
So, and Dale has always been good to me through other injuries and just through the PC and stuff. So. But yeah, I mean, those guys they were on top of it. Very grateful. Very grateful.
Same here. Just grateful for that. So you get the injury, you go have surgery, right? Within 48 hours, basically, you're in surgery.
Yep.
And you come out of surgery. Talk about what your mindset was coming out of surgery.
Coming out of surgery, my first thought literally is like, how quick can I get to Adia Med and get the Adia Vita treatment? I probably called Larry.
Which is stem cell therapy.
Stem cell therapy.
Right, and so talk about that, because that's something that, I think not enough people know about.
Sure.
And a lot of athletes now are getting stem cells for various reasons, but you knew that would help you in the healing process some way, somehow.
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course. I mean, you hear things over the years, right? But I had taken a great interest in it in the last, I'll say, year or so with Adia Med and Larry. And Larry is so passionate and incredible how much knowledge he's picked up over this stuff and he can just tell you about everything and what does what and these type of cells and that. And some of it's over my head, dude, but it's like the results essentially speak for themselves in a lot of these trials and testimonies, and I know people's ACLs are regrowing, and just overall anti-aging effects. People's brains are healing, and connections and kids with autism and Parkinson's and MS, and the list goes on and on and on for how much I know the technical term is like regenerative medicine, and it's really, that really is what it is. It's like regenerating your youth, your health, your blood, your muscles, your tendons, whatever it may be that maybe goes wrong along the way in your life. They regenerate. It's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, it is. So you go in after surgery. How long was it before you had the treatment of the stem cells in the tricep?
I think, and I thank Larry for it too. I got in there as soon as I could. I think within 4 days, maybe from and only probably because it was a weekend or something like that. I think I had the surgery on a Thursday or Friday, and by Monday morning I was getting the stem cells in there. Oh. And dude,
what did you notice right after that?
Yeah.
So tell me the kind of the healing process from that. What did you notice right after that?
Some things I just were obvious right away. I mean, I was in a cast, right? I was all stitched up and everything like that. I could not sleep. I could not get comfortable. And my hand looked like a balloon. I mean, it was just completely swollen. Right? And within 24 hours, my hand looked like normal and I was able to sleep. So just that alone, it was like worth it. You know what I mean? Just for that. And then what was really incredible to me was that first off, it stayed. It was like it got rid of, what's the term, the inflammation. It's like it totally got rid of that and it stayed off. It wasn't like, just temporary. The next day it comes back. It was gone. And when they finally removed my cast, which was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I remember the doctor, I was already moving, you shouldn't even be able to move it at all at that point. It's all so tight. But I was able to do 30 degrees within I'm going to say 12 days or something. I have it technically tracked somewhere.
But that's amazing.
And then I remember he looked at my scar and he was like, "This is
you can't
incredible, even see it. Yeah. So I have to give credit to the Adia Vita treatment because when the doctor and the surgeon is blown away by what he's seeing,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, okay, well, something unique is going on.
So they're telling you 8-9 months, which is standard recovery, by the way.
Right.
Okay, that's not far-fetched. Sometimes some guys or some athletes can come back 7, 8, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
But you came back in 3.5.
Yeah. That's again,
that's not just good, clean eating.
Right.
Right. There's something else
seriously.
along with that. Yeah. No, the stem cells played
it was crazy because I can remember personally that around, I'll say 10 weeks, I was like, I'm already sort of feeling pretty
like it was starting to feel.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was only whatever. I think by 10 weeks, I started thinking in my head whoa, I'm not that far off. 12 weeks, I was like, I'm pretty good. And then they cleared me technically, I think right around that time, 3.5 months or something like that, which it's always a little extra. The surgeon is always extra precautious, extra give it space time. Yeah. And he was like, dude, he checked my whole thing and did all the tests and stuff. And he was like, okay, be safe. You're on your own. I don't want to see you again. That kind of thing. And I said, dude, thank you.
Though. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, no, it was very, very nice. And this is when I came in, they said 9 months probably. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, 9 months.
Feels like a decade.
Yeah.
It does.
So I have to really think some of that treatment there played a
major role. It did. So what would you say to someone if they're looking to do stem cell therapy? You know what I mean? If somebody's injured, if they're hurt, if they've got a knee that is bothering them or shoulder, I mean, I already recommend it to anybody that's dealing with stuff or whatever. I've got friends that have had, surgeries and, I think of the Hardys who have just been beat up and stuff like that. I'm like, guys, stem cells, Winter Park, get them done. 15 minutes, you'll be in and out. So I literally will if anybody comes to me with anything, I'm like, have you considered stem? I'm that guy now. And it's all for good reason. I want them to feel better. I want them to get better faster, feel better, look better. I mean, aesthetically, I know a buddy of mine with the same exact injury who he's got a whole zigzag puffy scar just from that alone. Yeah. I'm a huge advocate of it now, having personally experienced it. Larry and crew and doctors, they'll present me the science of it all, but nothing
speaks like the actual experience and the results. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And now you're back. So the
And
next
I'm back
season,
at
you're
it. Yeah.
back at it, which
I
is
know.
great, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
man.
what's next for Elijah? So you're in TNA.
Yes.
What are your goals in wrestling moving forward?
Sure. I mean, dude, now that we got the TV deal, I think the sky is the limit, man. You know, Elijah could be the world champion.
Will be.
Will be. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. And just to bring more eyes to the product, I'd love to do crossover things where I'm in an AMC show and an AMC actor's hanging out with me. You know, a lot of that kind of stuff I think could be super fun. I think the character, Elijah, fits in the mix with a lot of their programming and things. So those are some goals right there. And then just grow the character, evolve into the next iteration of whatever it's going to be, and really have fun and not take any of the moments for granted, which is, you know, sometimes I'm so bullheaded on what's the next thing and this and that. You know, sometimes I need to stop and appreciate
the moment,
you know, things like that. And I really try to do that.
Yeah, that's really good. You know, just to kind of wrap up. So you were a skinny kid growing up, you told me, right?
Yes.
How has fitness, nutrition, how has that played a role in your development as a person, but also in wrestling?
Oh, man.
Is that a centerpiece?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first off, as a skinny kid who wanted to be a wrestler, and I saw, you know, I could think of Triple H and Kurt Angle and some of these guys just with like awesome physiques, and it's like, well, if that's what the champs look like, I got to get there somehow or another, you know? So I can remember at a very young age, maybe 17, I started having like regular, like, this is my diet and this is what I'm eating. And, you know, at family dinners, my family would be like, come on, aren't you gonna, you know,
modified meal prepping at 17, right?
Yeah, right. And so, you know, you go through your trials and errors and all that stuff, and you work with what you can at the time and try to make the best of it. But yeah, I mean, the fitness aspect, and really now, me and you talk, is like the longevity, maybe even, again, considering doing the Adia Vita as almost preventative.
100%.
If that's
as an IV, just to flood the system?
Sure.
As a preventative for anti-aging and longevity?
Yes. Like, these are things I'm seriously considering now. And a lot more focus on that. You know, 10 years ago when, you know, you're just younger, and, you know, but now 10 years later, after getting beat up and injuries, it's like, oh, I should probably start really caring
for
about
sure. But you're in great, still in great shape.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, what's interesting is now in wrestling, you're seeing a lot of the top talent. Like, people say, well, leave room for the, you know, let the young talent come up, right? There's a lot of that kind of conversation right now. Yeah. But guys that are in their late 30s, 40s, you're seeing talent in their mid 40s that still look like they're in their early 30s because of what they did in their 20s. So this whole thing with fitness and eating clean really started. That's why guys like AJ Styles looks the way that he does, right? Randy Orton looks the way that he does. Now, early on, he probably wasn't into the fitness and all that, but he really got into that, and it's changed a lot. So you're seeing, I think, a lot changed based on people's fitness and eating habits that they did 10, 15 years ago, like yourself. And so what I always say is, it's interesting, when you look at someone that's 50, 20 years ago, it was maybe the guy with gray hair, plaid shirt, penny loafers. He looked older. But now 50 is Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, looking at that, you've got so much more runway with what you have based on your habits. So you added DMed in there, you had stem cell therapy, your habits that you have now, and really the sky's the limit for your career. So another decade is definitely there, which is really cool to see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and those are things that were not in the conversation, you know, 10 years ago, and now they are. And now you've got guys like that, and who knows what's, you know, next for people. And, you know, I got Adia Med and these things like that, and whatever that becomes of it, it's like, you know, definitely opens up the whole door of potential there. And for health and feeling
That's
good.
what I'm saying, because you got to look at, you know, even past wrestling, right? The habits that you have now are creating that. There's a term in wrestling we always talk about, a bump card. Right?
Right.
But I think something like a DMed extends the bump card.
Of course.
Right? For all of us.
I mean, of course.
100%. How has faith played a role
in your life?
Man, you know, my whole life, it's tough to say. I'll say I had I'll call it an experience when I was maybe 5-ish years ago, you know, call it your, I don't know, enlightenment moment, or, you know, John says I was blind and now I see, you know what I mean? And it's the revelation of the resurrection, of the life and the truth and the light and life, of course, within you. I always think of Paul saying, this is the hope of glory, Christ in you. The God of love and peace and joy. And then, you know, so you have that in you and it comes out of you, and then you begin to see God in other people, and you see him in your neighbor and your friend and the community, and all of a sudden you see God's hand at work in, you know, I mean, let's talk about stem cells and everything, and the I'll call it divine powers at work with how that goes down. And, you know, just everybody that comes together to create a wrestling show. We always pray before our shows and stuff like that, man. It's like,
it's awesome.
And we want, you know, from the audience and the kid, and now all of a sudden, like I said, and you got your Holy Spirit glasses on, and you just see it through this way. It's a beautiful vision in the midst of what can be dark times or hard times, or, you know, whatever else, because life is always going to be coming at us, right?
That's right.
But I always think about Christ working in us. So
that's a good word.
Yeah. Cool.
As we close this thing out, would you mind praying for anyone that would watch this podcast? Just a short prayer for them, whatever they're going through, or maybe they're watching right now and you know, maybe need some encouragement.
Yeah, I'm not the best at just spitting out prayers or anything like that.
Right.
But for anybody listening, I pray that God touches your heart in a way that lets you know that God is there for you. He'll never leave you. He'll always be there, and God loves you. And that's important. You're never alone. No matter what you're going through, you're never alone. You've always got a friend in Jesus, is a popular song, but it's the truth. And for anybody out there that is considering health avenues, you know, pray about what you might find at Adia Med, Adia Vita. Look into this. I could tell you, I'm speaking from my heart here when I tell you that there are serious conditions in the world, in people, and any age, any spectrum, whatever it may be, it's worth looking into, considering. Your health is just got to be one of the most valuable things we have in this life. So don't take that for granted. On top of that, you know, I pray anybody out there listening that needs encouragement to lean into community, lean into your local church, your local leaders, and reach out and hear the good news of what Jesus has done. So there you go.
Good word, man.
I just ran it.
Appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, sure.
Always good.
All right, man.
Amen.